She told me he's just a friend, but the overnight bag told a completely different story. I didn't mean to go through her things. I swear I didn't. But when I got home that afternoon, something felt off. It wasn't anything I could pinpoint at first, but it gnawed at me. The house was too quiet. Her car was in the driveway, but I didn't hear her in the kitchen like usual or the sound of the TV running in the living room. I called her name. No answer. I called again, louder this time. Still nothing. My stomach twisted. I walked upstairs, where our bedroom door was slightly ajar. I didn't want to look, but my feet carried me inside anyway, like something else had taken over my body. And that's when I saw it. Her overnight bag, her best friend's name written in bold, black letters on the side, resting open on the bed. The same bag she always used when she went to visit him. I froze. My mind raced. She said it wasn't like that. She said he was just a friend, but this was the third time in 2 weeks I'd found it there. And every time she'd brushed it off with a laugh and a quick, "It's not what you think, babe. It's just for work stuff." But my gut told me something wasn't adding up. I stepped closer to the bag, my hands trembling as I bent over and pulled out a few things. A change of clothes, toiletries. But then I found something else. A small, folded piece of paper wedged under a pair of socks. I opened it, and my heart sank. It was a note. In his handwriting, "I can't wait to see you tonight. I miss your laugh, your touch. You're always in my mind, always in my heart. I hope you feel the same. I'm counting down the minutes until we're alone again." The words blurred together, and I had to blink to clear my vision. I wasn't sure how long I stood there, holding the note, but I felt like I was suffocating. The walls of the room seemed to close in on me. She had lied. She had told me over and over that it was nothing, that he was just a friend. But now it was clear. This wasn't just a friendship. I could hear her footsteps on the stairs. My pulse quickened. She wasn't supposed to be back for hours. Why now? Why couldn't she have just stayed at his place tonight? Why come back here? I stuffed the note back into the bag and turned to face her as she stepped into the room. "Ben, what are you doing in here?" Her voice was light, like nothing was wrong, like she didn't just leave a piece of her life, her real life, scattered across our bed. I didn't answer her right away. My mind was still racing. The knot in my stomach tightened. I knew what I had to do, but I didn't want to do it. I didn't want to confront her with the truth, because I knew what would happen next. She'd lie. She'd deny it. She'd tell me it was nothing. Instead, I just stood there, staring at her. "So he's just a friend?" I asked, the words coming out sharper than I meant them to. She froze at the tone of my voice. I could see her eyes flicker, the panic already setting in. Ben, what are you talking about?" she stammered, trying to laugh it off. But it didn't sound genuine. It didn't sound like her. "You're being weird." I reached for the overnight bag again, pulling it toward me, still trembling. She flinched but didn't say anything. I was waiting for her to come clean, but instead, she just stared at me, her lips pressed together tightly, like she was holding something back. "I found your note," I said quietly, my voice steady but strained. "The one from him." She took a step back, her face going pale. "Ben, please. I can explain." "You don't need to explain," I said, almost choking on the words. "I already know. This isn't the first time, is it?" Her mouth opened like she wanted to say something, but the words wouldn't come out. I could see her hands shaking, her eyes darting around the room like she was looking for an escape. I wasn't sure what I was waiting for, but I was done waiting. I wasn't about to let her lie to me anymore. Finally, she took a deep breath and exhaled, like she was about to say something that would change everything. "Ben, it's complicated." I couldn't believe it. Complicated. She had said that same thing when I first started noticing the strange behavior. The late-night work calls, the texts that went unanswered, the time she would disappear without explanation, always coming back with some new work stress excuse. And now, it was complicated. It was always complicated when I asked her about him. It was never simple. "You've been lying to me this whole time," I said, the anger rising in my chest. "You said you loved me, that you were committed to me. But all along, you've been seeing him behind my back." Her eyes filled with tears, but they didn't feel like tears of remorse. They felt like tears of frustration, like she was trying to convince herself that she was still in control of the situation. "Ben, I'm not seeing him like you think. It's just that he's always been there for me, you know? He's been my best friend for so long, and I've been so confused. I shook my head, trying to keep the flood of emotion at bay. You're not confused, Mia. You know exactly what you're doing. You've been choosing him over me every time you leave here, every time you go to him. I paused, searching her face for some sign of truth, some flicker of honesty. Tell me I'm wrong. Tell me this was just some big misunderstanding, and I'll believe you. But I already know the truth, Mia. And the truth is, you've been lying. Her shoulders slumped, and the tears finally started to fall. She looked defeated. Ben, I never wanted to hurt you. I never meant for it to get this far. You never meant for it to get this far? I repeated, incredulous. Are you kidding me? You've been sneaking around behind my back. You've been planning this. How did you think it wouldn't hurt me? She closed her eyes, not wanting to look at me, but I could see the guilt in her expression now. I could see it in the way her hands shook, in the way she refused to meet my eyes. I don't know how to fix this, she said quietly, her voice barely above a whisper. I don't know if I even want to fix this. Part 2. I didn't know what I was supposed to feel in that moment. I was angry, sure, but it wasn't just anger. It was a mix of everything. Hurt, betrayal, confusion. I kept looking at her, but the more I did, the more it felt like she was a stranger. This person I thought I knew, the woman I'd spent so many nights talking to about the future, the woman I thought I was building a life with, was standing in front of me, lying through her teeth. And it made everything feel wrong. I couldn't stay there, not with her standing in front of me, still trying to explain herself like it was just a simple mistake. It wasn't a mistake. This wasn't about misunderstanding or getting confused. This was about the fact that she was choosing him. Over and over again. And I had been too blind to see it until now. I don't even know who you are anymore. I muttered, more to myself than to her. You've been lying to me. For how long? Weeks? Months? She tried to take a step toward me, but I stepped back. Ben, please. Her voice cracked, and the tears were streaming down her face now, but I didn't feel anything except the distance growing between us. Stop, Mia, I said, my voice cold, harder than I meant it to be. Just stop. I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear the excuses. I don't want to hear how much you never meant for this to happen. You've been lying. You've been sneaking behind my back, and I'm done. I never meant for it to get like this, she whispered, her voice shaking as she wiped her tears. I swear, Ben, I never wanted to hurt you. I stood still, looking at her. My hands were trembling at my sides, but I forced myself to keep calm. I couldn't let myself fall into her trap again. This wasn't about her anymore. It was about me. I was done being the second choice. Done being the one left in the dark while she spent her time with someone else. I didn't need to know the details of their relationship. I didn't need to know how it started or why it went on for so long. I just knew that she had made a choice, and it wasn't me. I walked past her, heading for the door. She followed me, desperate now. Where are you going? She asked, her voice breaking with panic. Out, I said without looking back. I grabbed my jacket from the closet and pulled it on, but the weight of it felt heavier than it should have. I need space, Mia. I need to think, and I don't want to do it here. Not with you. She took a step forward, reaching for my arm, but I jerked away. Her hand fell limp at her side, and she stared at me like I was a stranger, too. Ben, please. I didn't mean for any of this to happen. I know, I said quietly, but I couldn't find it in me to feel sorry for her. But it did happen, and now I need to figure out what I'm going to do next. I need time to think. She opened her mouth to say something, but then she closed it. I could see the way she was trying to hold it together, but it was clear she wasn't sure what to say anymore. Nothing she said would fix this. Nothing she could do would erase what I had found, what I knew to be true now. I walked out the door, closing it behind me with a finality I hadn't expected. The whole world felt heavy on my shoulders as I stepped into the cool evening air. I didn't know where I was going. I didn't care. I just needed to get away from that house. Away from her. It wasn't until I was sitting in my car, engine running, parked in front of a coffee shop, that I let myself really feel it. The anger, the betrayal, the confusion, it all hit me in a rush. My hands gripped the steering wheel so tightly that my knuckles were white, and my breath came in short bursts. I didn't want to cry. I didn't want to be that person, the one who got taken advantage of. But I couldn't stop the tears from coming, couldn't stop the grief from hitting me like a ton of bricks. The worst part was how stupid I felt. How stupid I had been to ignore the signs, to convince myself that she was just busy or that I was being paranoid. How stupid I had been to believe that someone could be that close to another person and not feel something more. I pulled my phone out of my pocket and stared at the screen, my finger hovering over her name. I wanted to call her, wanted to scream at her, demand answers, demand an explanation that I knew I would never get. But I didn't. I couldn't. I knew that if I called her, I would just fall into the same pattern again, listening to her excuses and hoping that somehow things would go back to how they were. But I couldn't let that happen. Not this time. I scrolled through my contacts, stopping at my best friend's name. I hit dial without hesitation. He picked up on the second ring. Ben? What's up, man? I let out a shaky breath, still trying to compose myself. Can we talk? We spent the next few hours at the bar, me nursing a whiskey while I tried to put words to what had just happened. My best friend, Dan, didn't have a lot to say at first. He just listened. He listened as I told him everything, from the first time I started getting suspicious to the moment I found the note in her overnight bag. The whole time, he just nodded and kept his mouth shut, letting me get it all out. When I was done, I stared at my glass for a long moment. The ice had melted and the whiskey was watered down, but I didn't care. Man, Dan said finally, breaking the silence, that's tough. I'm sorry you're going through this. Yeah, I muttered. I'm not sure I even know what to do now. It feels like everything I thought was real is just gone. Like she's been lying to me this whole time. Dan leaned back in his chair, his eyes thoughtful. Look, you can't keep hanging on to someone who's already checked out. That's not fair to you, man. You deserve better than that. I nodded, but the truth didn't make it any easier. I don't know what's next. I don't even know if I want to talk to her again. I get it, but you can't just ignore it forever. You've got to make a decision, whether it's to walk away or try and fix it. But don't stay in limbo, Ben. That'll hurt you more in the long run. I sat there listening to his words, and for the first time since everything went down, I started to feel a little more clear-headed. I wasn't sure what I was going to do next, but I knew I couldn't keep torturing myself with her lies. I needed space. I needed time. And above all, I needed to stop being the second choice in her life.